Welcome to the Black Man Lab. What's up, brothers? How y'all doing?
What's happening, people?
Everybody good? Welcome to the Black Man Lab. What's up, brothers? How y'all doing?
What's happening, people?
All right. We got all these young guns on. I see young.
Hello.
What's going on, young Lewis?
Nothing.
Got some kind of poster behind you, man?
Oh.
All right. Well, welcome, brothers. We want to just start out as we normally do. We want to just connect. I don't know if we have Brother Parham on, but I know we got Brother Marty, and we're just going to get into this, man, and start a conversation. What we want people to know who've never participated in the Black Man Lab live is that it's a space, it's a safe and sacred space for Black men. We opening it up. We know that there are sisters that are tuned in, so that's cool. It's number love. We appreciate our brothers for stepping today, connecting with us, for us to have this conversation about how they're making these adjustments to dealing with the coronavirus and how it's impacted their lives and how they're managing this impact. So I'm Attorney Mauli Davis. I'm one of the co-founders of the Black Man Lab, along with Brother Melick, Brother Dana, and Brother Jared. We all, a few years ago, said we were going to get together with our sons and start having some conversations, and it's grown into their friends, our nephews, our godsons, all connecting now and having these important conversations. So this is one of those situations where we want you all to give voice to what's happening. So with that, Brother Marty, you want to come on in?
Sure. Welcome to the Black Man Lab, everybody. I am Brother Marty Monaghan. I am the Assistant Director with the Black Man Lab Foundation, Chairman, actually. And today we're really looking to kind of get from our young brothers what they have been experiencing with the coronavirus pandemic and how it's affected them as it relates to being out of school and just life changes that we're all experiencing. So with that, what we'd like to do, normally at this time, we'd have Brother Parham on here, and he'd open us up with just kind of getting us in that safe and sacred space that we talk about in terms of being kind of centered, being ready to receive this information. So we ask everybody just one time, if you could really quickly, just for a moment, take a deep breath in and exhale that out, and let go of all the stuff that's been holding you back, and be ready to receive this information. So with that, what I would like to do is have the young fellas give a quick introduction of themselves, just who you are, what you're doing in terms of school, if you're in school, where you're at, and your age. So I'll start with Brother Ibn. Can you give a quick introduction of yourself?
Hi, my name is Ibn Farad. I am 14 years old and I go to Grayson High School. I play football and I run track. And currently I am doing digital learning day with my school.
All right, welcome. Appreciate having you here, brother.
Thank
Brother
you.
Shelton, quick
How
introduction.
y'all doing? My name is Sean Shelton. I'm currently a junior kinesiology major at Morehouse College, but I am, as you can see, from Chicago. So I'm
Sir,
just in for all the knowledge I know I can get.
appreciate you. Brother L, you're muted, L.
I'm muted.
Okay, you're good now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm L, Atlanta native, Black Man Lab son. I'm 2 years out of school, so this has no effects on me educational wise. Unfortunately, I do wish that I was in school during this time because I would have got a degree for free.
Well, look, we're glad to have you, Al. Thank you. Young Evan.
Yes, sir. My name is Evan Watson. I'm 17 years old. I'm a senior at Westlake High School. And with everything going on right now, I'm also partaking in digital learning online, just taking it day by day and hoping for the best in the future.
And
Where you headed to college?
Yeah, where you going?
I will be attending Morehouse College in the fall 2020.
All right. Good stuff, man. Glad to have you here, Evan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Keandre.
My name is Keandre Lewis. I'm in the 8th grade. I go to Best Academy, play basketball. I'm also in digital learning.
All right. Glad to have you here, Keandre. And finally, Kobe, my nephew.
Everybody hear me?
Can't hear you good, Cole.
Can't hear you.
My name is Kobe Davis, senior at Howard University. And back.
Turn up your volume.
Hello. You still can't hear me?
Real low, buddy.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's good now.
All right. My name is Kobe Davis. I'm a senior at Howard University, marketing major, and going to Georgia State Law School probably in the fall.
All right. Good stuff. Well, welcome, brothers. I didn't miss anybody, did I, Mal? You got everybody there?
I think we got everybody.
Okay.
So, brothers, we want you all to just talk about. Obviously, we had a couple people who would be graduating. Just share with the brothers and everyone that's watching a part of Black Man Lab world. Just share kind of how you have dealt with the fact that you will not have a traditional graduation ceremony in May. Start with you, Evan. Like, how are you processing that, man?
As of right now, like our graduation still stands, but I still don't really know how that's gonna work. So like as of right now, our graduation still stands, but I still know that there's a possibility that it might be virtual or however they're gonna do that. But I don't know, it's just kind of it just kind of hits you from out of nowhere. You know, something you weren't really expecting. It's just like a really hard blow, because like a senior year, you're getting you're going to prom, your high school graduation, it's your last summer at home, it's your last everything basically, and then this comes out of nowhere. So it's just trying to just teach you to be open-minded at this time, because resources are limited for certain things, and yeah, just trying to make the best of the situation really, and just hoping for the best with especially with the graduation. Yeah.
Have you been talking to your classmates? What are your classmates at Westlake and around the city saying about, no prom, no graduation?
Man, I remember the day that they canceled. They actually had canceled our prom, but as of right now, like they had just postponed it, because I remember like the day they had canceled prom was like our last day of actual going to school. And people were just like really upset about it, and they were just calling the principal, calling teachers, like, we're really upset. We did all this preparing for like our prom, and like they just like, okay, we're just gonna postpone it. But besides prom, just our whole senior year and graduating as well. A lot of people are really upset. A lot of people are sad. A lot of people are scared just to just knowing what can happen in the future. Because like I hear a lot of people just saying it's gonna get worse before it can get any better. And it's just hearing just different people talk about it is just making me think about how can I keep a positive mindset towards the situation, and just maintain what I have right now and try to be better at what I can do.
Yeah. We got an 8th grader. Our 8th grader. You getting ready to graduate from Best Academy, right?
Yes, sir.
What how are you dealing with the fact that you won't have a traditional 8th grade graduation? How you feel about all of that, man? What's your conversation been with your classmates?
My class, we wasn't really thinking about graduation, but like the summer and stuff, we were thinking about summer and the dance that we were supposed to have at the end of the year. Yeah, everybody was mad. But yeah, and everybody want to go back to school because we get more work in online class than regular school.
I hear they work you hard on these online classes, man. They make you really grind. No time to to walk the halls.
Yeah.
Kobe, you get ready to graduate from Howard. What has that whole situation been like? You all were scheduled to go for spring break and all of that. How are you and your friends cope with this drastic change?
This is pretty disappointing because we've been looking forward to it all year, and we all worked really hard to graduate in May with our family and friends. And for our family to see us
See
there.
you, Cole.
Huh?
We can't see your. There's no video. Okay.
Yeah, just like it was pretty disappointing. Not really a whole bunch around it. Like, hopefully they reschedule it to December, but I don't know. Not really much.
Cole, what about the online classes and stuff? You guys got into that yet, or how are they dealing with you all in terms of your classes?
Yeah, we're doing online class, and communication hasn't been that well. Like at the beginning of the process, a lot of confusion and stuff. So, yeah, this process could have been a lot smoother probably, but of course people weren't really prepared for that. A lot of our professors weren't really prepared to take everything online. So it's just been weird having to adjust, and in the senior year, like at home is kind of weird. So,
and I know that some colleges like Mizzou, they're actually have a program where they're cutting their people off altogether and just saying they're ready for graduation, and are finishing out without them having to even go to classes any further. And have you guys gotten any kind of feedback on that yet?
I mean, I know a lot of people were pushing for us to get like a pass or fail system, so it wouldn't be letter-based grading, but just off of passing or failing. But I'm pretty sure they won't let us. They're not going to cut our regular curriculum. I think we started to finish out, and then they'll give us our credit at the end of the semester. So,
okay,
yeah.
Cool.
All right. You're over at Morehouse, Sean. How were things received in Morehouse? How have y'all had to move in terms of being over at Morehouse? What was the whole vibe like, man?
Man, coming back home, it was so devastating just for everybody on campus. Everybody, it was just depressing. Like you would wake up and you would see people lining up like down the street in front of like the living, like where everybody lives. And you could see that people brought their parents down to help them move out and everything. It felt like it was the end of the year. And for me, like, I was really looking forward to the rest of the semester. So it coming to an abrupt sudden end was something that was hard for me to deal with at first. But now they've made the accommodations necessary for all the students to still succeed online. So we're taking classes remotely, but we do have the option at the end of the year to either have a letter grade for your classes or have a pass or fail. So they're doing what they can to make this pretty smooth for everybody. But as a student, I really was looking forward to the rest of the semester on campus, but I'm going to get my 4.0 regardless how it comes. So
I hear you.
Tough. Yeah.
Even if you just get that one letter grade, which is an A, and just do pass, fail on everything else. That's a 4.0.
That's a neat move.
Yeah. Young Ibn, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Just in terms
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just in terms of, man, adjusting to all of this, are you communicating with your friends from school on a daily basis, or what are you able to do socially, to kind of stay encouraged?
Yes, I'm not 14 anymore. I just turned 15. I forgot about that.
Happy
So it's kind
birthday,
of
man.
like being quarantined on. Yeah, thank you. It's like I've been quarantined on my birthday. It really sucked, and it was like I was trying to celebrate that, but me and my friends before everything got shut down, like it was still happening, but before everything got like so serious, although we were out of school, we tried to like stay active. We started playing football at Big Creek Park. Started trying to go do stuff just to keep us active, just to keep us going. But after they canceled everything, they canceled the park, they closed it, everything, so we couldn't go outside. And then because of that, teachers they added more and more work to our digital learning day, which made it even more harder. But I just wanted to like encourage everyone just to keep going, because at the end of the day that we just got to keep going into, because if we stop, our economy is going to go down, everything's going to go down, our grades, and we just have to keep inspiring each other, keep encouraging.
And L, you are the OG of these young brothers. I know you aren't in school, but you have been working. You've been up. I know I've seen you up at Clark Atlanta working with some of the professors up there. L, can you talk about how this has impacted your future plans?
Definitely. Me and some of Clark Atlanta students and even some of the guys that we've had at the lab, as far as Christian, we're excited to implement some programs on campus that now have to take a back seat until this pandemic settles. And then I just look at it from a psychology standpoint too. A lot of people I've been having a lot of texts and phone calls as far as family problems, because and then these intimate moments, and you talk about people who have full day lives every day. Now they have to be intimate with their loved ones on a regular basis, especially those who come. I remember when I was in school and when I had to come home, you still kind of want to be on the road. Even though you're at home, you still want to be on the go see friends and whatnot. Now you're forced to be at home, and some conversations are going to come up that may or may not be uncomfortable. So just hearing those calls and answering those calls, I know there's a higher level of stress that maybe don't have to be there, but it's there because, again, I mean, some of these forced intimate conversations are happening. But yeah, just as far as me moving in the world, a lot of doing like consulting work and then just moving almost, I guess, as a private contractor has slowed a lot of things down. Even me working at the homeless shelter on the weekends, because that's such a vulnerable group. And so I got to be mindful of bringing that back around my grandmother and my younger siblings.
You are, when you say you have to be mindful of bringing that back around, what precautions are you taking in terms of not getting infected and spreading COVID-19? What are you doing?
And not to say those at the homeless shelter have it, but I know they're a more vulnerable group to get it.
Sure.
But just in case, I just been having to keep extra sanitizer on me. Because of my blood type, according to the CDC, I'm less likely to get it. So I've been more so on errands for the family and whatnot. But even in my moving outside, I got my mom put Purell wipes in the car for me to keep things wiped down. Just kind of engaging it day by day and just making sure I do an extra washing of the hands, even though we should be doing that already. But just
are you wearing a mask?
I am, but for allergy reasons.
Okay.
As airborne as it is, some of some of the family contacts, the phone calls that we've all been on as a group, has suggested that they are not as helpful. But it also depends on your immune system. So it just kind of depends. I can't, I don't want to tell nobody what not to do and what they can do. But it's just, if you know your system, your immune system, you should take as much precautions. But one thing I have been doing is doubling up on the golden seal and the echinacea and, like honey and lemon and just all that good stuff.
Any of you other guys been doing anything because there's been this whole conversation
That young
around
people.
social distancing, hand washing. But one of the things that Baba Wakesa, one of our Let Us Make Men co-founders and Black Man Lab brothers, has talked about a lot, has been us taking the fight to the virus by boosting our own immune systems.
Right.
What are other brothers doing anything to try to boost their immune systems to be able to fight this thing? Because that's one of the issues that he raised as something we should really be focused on, not just, kind of going into our respective corners. Not that
Right.
social distancing is real, but at the same time, how can we be more proactive? What other?
I suggest people go, if you have a juice spot on it, or if you juice your own, the ginger, the cayenne and lemon, wheatgrass, pure lemon juice and pure cranberry juice, things of those nature. And again, that Golden Silk Nation, and there's many other lists. I think we put out a resource list as the Black Man Lab the other day. But yeah, definitely double up. I definitely was raised in a natural household, so my parents have been on it as far as making sure that I'm taking things and whatnot. But I've been just kind of encouraging my friends to do so as well, because it's easy to go in the house, but that doesn't mean when you don't go outside you're not gonna get it. But just even in this pollen season, just doubling up on and not no more so as the pills and whatnot, but some of those natural remedies that really directly help you immediately. And I would say just stay away from fasting right now, because you don't want to weaken your immune system either. And so I know that some people are on that, and it's just also been kind of hard telling some of the homies that, they need to stay inside, and not more so like just stay secluded, but like I'm not going out on Friday nights, so don't ask me. It's not not right now. No chance.
Right. You kind of you dead it to kickback.
Yeah. Don't ask me. What am I doing? It's not happening unless I know for a fact.
You need to talk to your cousins about that, because they
still. Yeah. I've been talking to young Josh and young Kobe. They the party boys don't stop.
Yeah, man, it's a crazy time. Anybody else doing anything extra with their immune systems to try to make sure that their body is stronger? Sleep, running, outside, sun.
Definitely been getting the 2 miles in the morning.
I have.
What you doing, Ip?
Even although I can't go outside and play football and be active, I still be active at home. I do push-ups every day. I do high knees, any football drills, track drills. I try to sit-ups, do like a different schedule, and try to sanitize as much as you can, clean up as much as you can. And also for my immune system, not only just working out, I also I try to, sometimes I take milk to make my body stronger, and also tea helps a lot because of the ingredients. And also they have vitamin supplements that help your immune system, because I naturally have a strong immune system, but just making it stronger doesn't help, doesn't make it bad for me. So I try to take those stuff to help me. I went to go test the other day, and I came back negative, so thank God for that.
Okay. Where did you have to go get the test?
For children, they had sometimes they have it at different pediatrics. So my local pediatrics were doing it. So we went I think a few days ago on last Friday we went, and they had a testing for kids, and it came back, and we all came back negative. So
okay, guys, anybody else, man? We want you guys to just imagine that you have an opportunity to speak to all of the young Black men around the world who are experiencing this. What would you tell them in a sentence or two? And we just want each of you all to, give them a word of encouragement, something that, is from you, or something you've heard, something that just you think could help young brothers, make it through.
First, just real quick, I wanted to answer about the routine. One thing that I do now is I'm so blessed enough to have a treadmill in my basement. So I'm taking advantage of that, running at least like 20 minutes a day, but also incorporating like 100 curls within a day, and then find somewhere to do some push-ups. Also doing vitamins every day. I never did vitamins before, but now I'm making sure that I'm taking care of myself. And also getting as much vitamin C as I can on a daily basis. So yeah.
Sean, what would you want to share, man, with all of the young brothers who might watch this at some point, man, and they might feel down, they might feel frustrated, they might even feel, angry or depressed, man. What's a word for them?
One thing that I've had to talk to a couple people about is the fact that as a race, we're supposed to be able to get through anything as long as whether we know it's an end to it or not. I know for a fact that there's going to be an end to this. So it's like you don't want to stress the struggle. Like you want to just savor the success like after. So do what you got to do now. I promise we're going to go back outside soon. We're going to be able to enjoy company and everything. But for right now, please, for your safety, everybody's safety, just stay at the crib, bro. No handshakes. If you're adjusting somebody, adjusting with an elbow or something, like
feet only.
Yeah, you got to keep your space. But we will have we'll have more time in the future to enjoy the things in life. So just be patient. We're gonna be fine. Just stay at the crib. That's it.
Appreciate it. Young Lewis, what you got for him, man? What you want to share with the young guys your age, man, the young 8th graders?
I would say use this time to better yourself. You got a business you want to start, you should try to improve that, start thinking about ideas on it. And yeah, this will be over soon, I think.
All right, start that business. I heard you. All right. Ibn, what's up, man?
What's up?
a good word?
Perseverance, proactiveness, both of them. Don't wait for something to happen to fight it, because I think that's one of the reasons why it's been going on and increasing like this. Because at first, this when it first came up, it was like, oh, it's like a common flu. Everyone's like, oh, it's worse. It's okay. We'll get it's gonna be like a cold. People have to be more proactive. Just because the flu happens every year, people are being proactive because of that. So I feel like if it's a new virus, we don't know what it is, so we should at least be on our guard and perseverance. Because even if we didn't beat it yet, we have to keep going, because if we don't quit, then we'll stop it. Because Martin Luther King, he never quit. He helped stop segregation. We all just have to keep going, work together. Social distancing helps, but also try to become more in contact with others, because there's actually a depression rate going on now too. People are becoming insecure, and so just try to make a phone call to a loved one, make a phone call to a friend, just talk online. That's all I gotta say.
Appreciate it, man. How many push-ups you doing, man?
100 a day.
100 a day. All right, bet. I'm with you on that one. Young Kobe, you got a good word for other brothers around the country, around the world?
I feel like everybody else said a lot of good stuff that I would just echo off of, in terms of if you have your own business or interested in starting your own, take this time right now to just make the most of it. So I really just say make sure you're maximizing your time, because there probably won't be another time like this where the whole world is shut down for real, and you don't got to go to school every day. You don't have the normal responsibilities you normally would. So just make the most of your time. If you want to read a book or anything you've been putting off, there's probably a time to just knock it out, get it done. So I say maximize your time for real.
All right. Evan, what's up, man? Give us a word, Evan.
Hello.
Yeah.
All right. What I was gonna say is mostly like along the same lines as everybody else, is being productive, being proactive, staying open minded, but being aware of your surroundings, and yeah, mostly just being open minded, because just being inside the house, I know like it makes like a lot of people be like, oh yeah, like I'm really bored, or like you just really like just be anxious to get out the house, but you gotta just have like a mindset like you can't really like change the situation at hand, so just try to make the best of it. And yeah, just being proactive, and I can't stress the being healthy, like on like a healthy diet enough. So yeah, like just eating healthy as possible. Even if like it's like, say if like somebody doesn't really like healthy food a lot, just try to make the best you can. And yeah, just basking the time with your loved ones.
All right. All right. And L, the OG of this young group.
I would just say take some personal time. Like Kobe said, we don't know another time when this world will slow down like this. And oftentimes we be on such a fast track. I think just take the time to get in tune with yourself. I think a lot of the calls that I'm getting and whatnot, the texts, are just because we've been moving so fast, we rarely get time to take to ourselves. So execute on getting to know yourself, boost your immune system, boost your mental strength, physical strength, all of that.
Brothers, thank you all, man. We're getting ready to have our part two. Brother Marty's going to be able to rap with some of our HBCU leaders from around the country. But we want to thank you, brothers, and let you all know, man, we love you all. We miss being able to give you all a hug, being able to connect with you. But we hope that you keep connecting with Black Man Lab, keep building with your brothers, keep reaching to the Babas and the elders in the community, because we're here and we're going to be here. And as somebody said, this will pass. And the question will be, when the world stood still, did you stand still or did you run harder and try to catch up? So now is an opportunity for us as a people, catch up. Let's read, let's write, man, let's realize our dreams. And we can do that while sheltering in place. Bro, Marty, you got a word, brother, for these young guys?
I would echo that, Molly, and say, number one, young brothers, we appreciate you being on this video conversation with us. But keep pushing those that are around you, that you're close to. Keep pushing other guys to do the same work that you're doing, right? That you're looking to take this time and utilize it so that when we come out of this, because we will come out of this, when we come out of it, you'll be better for it, right? You'll be positioned to launch into whatever it is you want to do. And whatever those dreams are you have, put pen to paper right now, man. You got nothing but time, right? We got the time. Think hard on it, push forward. And again, we're all here to support you. All the Black Man Lab and all the elders that are there to support you. So don't stop reaching out. You know how to reach us. So thank you again.
All right, good brothers. Y'all stay tuned in for these HBCU leaders. We're going to shift over to one of my Beasley B brothers, going all the way back, Dr. Willis Walter. What's up, Doc?
What's going on, my brother? Can you hear me?
I can hear you,
hear me
man.
all right?
I can hear you, but I can't see you. Are they going to be able to see the doctor straight from the south side of Chicago, Willis Walter?
How about now?
There it is.
Got you, Doc.
There it is. All right. And thank
How's
God.
everybody doing?
We good, man. We good. Good to have you, brother. Thank you for calling. Why don't you introduce yourself, man? Let folks know a little bit. I've already given somewhat of an introduction that you're from Chicago, that you attended, I think, the greatest grammar school to ever be built, Beasley Academic Center. But give him your pedigree, man. Where you went to college and kind of your route to your current position, and give some context for
All right.
as a leader.
Thanks, Maui. Let me first say I also went to Kenwood Academy high school, the best high school in Chicago. But
That's high school
going
in
on.
Chicago. Yes, sir.
I love that flag back there. I love that flag. But let me just say, I've been in education for about 30 years now. This is unprecedented what we're seeing right now. I've been a teacher in 2 different states, administrator in Birmingham, Alabama. Went on to now being at my 3rd HBCU, been in higher education for about 20 years. And some of the things that we're seeing right now, both to benefit historically Black institutions and other MSIs, as well as could be our detriment if we're not careful. This is a very tumultuous time, I think, for many of our institutions. Let me also say, when I was an administrator in K through 12, you know, our biggest concern was the home life of our children.
Sure.
Now, when we're talking about what we're dealing with this virus at historically Black institution and most of our universities, we've sent students home back to those same situations that, like I said, as a K through 12 teacher, we were the most concerned about. Many of us don't remember our having some of the struggles that some of these kids today have. And so it is going to be really interesting what we get back. When things get back to order, what things look like. You know, the Democrats have really fought hard to get the federal government to give about $1 billion investment into HBCUs, tribal colleges, and other minority serving institutions. That's huge right now. When you look at our small endowments in comparison to some of the other institutions that we are constantly compared to, those funds are really going to help us reshape what we do from a remote instruction standpoint, as well as I think from a standpoint of making sure that our students get reimbursed for what they didn't get while they were in school this semester. So it's going to be really interesting how universities use the funds that they're getting right now, as well as how we benefit our low-income students and underrepresented students that typically come to our historically Black institution.
Where are you right now, Willis, and what's your current position?
I'm the Dean of Education for Virginia State University. And in that role, I basically sign off on all students that are going through a teacher education program, a sport management program, and other community service programs and or counselor education and educational leadership programs that are housed at our state institution.
Prior to what was the other HBCU you were an administrator or taught?
I taught at and was assistant dean of education at Florida A&M University for 7 years, and then for the last 10 years, I was at Bethune-Cookman University before transitioning to Virginia State. And I was vice president of institutional research, planning and effectiveness there, as well as dean of education at some point in time during that time, my stint at Bethune-Cookman.
Man, I know we have Professor Jared Grant on from Clark Atlanta University. I want to try to bring him in the mix as well. Opportunities, man. We talk about you mentioned this $1 billion that HBCUs and other higher education institutions have received. Talk about, where do you see opportunity in this? I know a lot of times we look at something as tragic and devastating as a pandemic, completely through a negative lens. But what opportunity might we as a community be able to grab hold of? Go ahead, Willis.
Oh,
I don't think.
Well, I think it really gives us an opportunity to do distance learning correctly. We've not had the funding to really build the infrastructure that we really need to in order to do remote instruction the way that it should be, especially for students that haven't necessarily had the best K through 12 experience. We have to be better than all the rest that we're competing against. However, accrediting bodies, lack of money, lack of endowment has prevented institutions, small HBCUs especially, from really competing on the same level as some of your larger institutions from an online perspective. I think that's number one. I think another area is what we already do well, which is really support our young people when they are at our HBCUs, giving them the kind of experience and the kind of intellect that they need in order to compete on a regular basis with everyone else. Because we have to sometimes bridge the gap between what they should have learned in the K through 12 system and what they're expected to be able to do by the time they are finished a 4-year university. And then the third thing is, I think, connect better with some of the community colleges and transfer institutions. And sometimes that means building some opportunities, some bridges between those other institutions that so many times get our young people and capture them, but they don't ever finish from a 4-year institution after getting to those 2-year institutions. So building a proper pathway to make sure that those students are successful and get the kind of encouragement and know-how and have some level of success at a 4-year institution while being at that 2-year institution.
Solid. Professor Grant, share with the folks where you currently are in your HBCU experience, where, you know, the path that you've taken and what you see as opportunities here for HBCUs as a HBCU leader.
Well, Maoli, for example, I'm at Clark Atlanta University. Currently, we are doing remote courses and, with our students until the end of the school year. So we're doing kind of what we're doing right here, having FaceTime via virtually using our technology right now. Now, we have some issues. If I'm starting a class, in which I do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m., and I have students in Vegas and I have students in California, you know, so you got to think about, you know, what supplements will I provide them, because it's unfair to ask them to wake up at 4 in the morning and, you know, join the class, you know, so there are some other pieces. It's different from an online course or class. And so we have to differentiate because we still are a brick and mortar institution. And I think that face-to-face and that connect significant and different. Of course, with Atlanta Public Schools, I worked as an administrator in instructional technology, using these type of technology platforms and best practices on how to redeliver training, how to redeliver and connect with our students virtually. And one of the leading states in doing that is actually out of Florida. Florida has created a very an infrastructure for virtual learning that we all can benefit from by looking at their model. So right now we're being tested. Zoom stock is going up like nobody's business, of course. And so, you know, we're just being tested on our ability to really utilize and connect. And actually it was good because I had to create an addendum to the policy with my students to say, I actually need to see you. So in seeing you, you can't just have your name up there,
Right.
I need to connect with you and see, and of course some are, in the bed or on the sofa, it's not some aren't even dressed appropriately in some aspects, but we keep on going, and they keep on going with stimulating conversation, and that's the most important thing. So right now, I think that United States and the world, for the most part, there's some gaps, and we're recognizing where the gaps are. We're recognizing, capitalism is not the only mechanism for economic achievement. That is really through social support and collectivism that also is saving us right now. And the type of work that we're doing right now and what we're doing right here is a part of that social programming. So I think we're connecting on different levels, and
I think they just rang a bell on you, man.
Yeah, people are chiming in while I'm speaking. So people kind of connect,
Oh man, clearly, man, I just want our viewers to know, man, that your hair growth was prior to the virus. So this isn't the barber in a minute. You just letting it flow, bro. And I'm glad, because I can't. So I appreciate it.
I get it. I would get it done. So right now I can't get it done. So
Get it done.
Yeah, get it done.
Yeah. I just let it grow. It's just gonna be Frederick Douglass, 19th century, in the 21st century. So that's all it's gonna be. I'm a part it too. So we'll see how.
Bro, when you come to the Black Man Lab, when we all get back together, I want you to come with that part, so all the young brothers can straight Joan you, bro.
Hey, I grew up in the Black community. I can Joan back, so it's all good.
Right. In the Black community in Racine,
Wisconsin. That's right.
That's right. Represent.
And it didn't stop because I went to all HBCUs, so it didn't stop in Racine. So.
That's right. We were looking. I'm not sure if we have Brother Sam Livingston in or Greg Kamati Carr. I know we had a couple of other folks who were going to jump. Oh, there you are. What's up,
bro? We're here.
Yeah. Hotep, brother.
Hey, Sam. What's going on, baby? Hey, Molly, what's up?
Hey, man, this the only way I get to see you, man. Other than checking you out when you get on national television.
Don't give the white man credit. I was coming down there this weekend, brother.
Oh, I know this was your weekend. You're
brother,
supposed to be right now, man.
Man.
You're supposed to be over at Tassili's with us eating.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's a nefarious plot to keep the race divided, but we will not be stopped, brother.
You, man. I'm telling you, when we're getting together after damn near 30 years, they said, nah, we got to stop this from happening. We're going to create this damn pandemic so that they cannot connect. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right, brother Molly. Listen, man, I see all the brothers here. I see my big brother Sam, and I was listening to Dr. Walter and Professor Grant. Man, brother Walter, you up there with my man's Makola Abdullah. I know y'all holding it down. I see Ralph Northern and got the paddle rotors in place, gonna lock down everybody. Martial law coming next, and we're gonna have to make sure everybody's strapped at least with knowledge, because if you leave your house, the police getting ready to, we about to find out what that Jim Crow law was like, maybe even the black codes. This is what I'm really
true.
Molly, you got to school us, brother, because I know you on the front line every day, particularly these young brothers and sisters out here and people watching on YouTube. This is a very serious moment.
Yeah.
But I won't talk long, man. I just want to say that it's important that this forum exists, and the people who are not just on this call, on this Zoom, but who are watching on YouTube and who will watch later, please understand that we may be physically separate, but this may be the most transformative moment in world history, modern world history, because everything is being jailbroken now. In other words, anybody saying that you can't have universal health care, well, that lie has gone out the window. Why? Because they just spent $2 trillion. They're going to borrow most of it from China. And then they're going to spend some more money. So when people say they don't have the money, just go back to the spring of 2020 for your point of reference. The folks out there who are locked up for non-violent offenses, who are now being subjected to perhaps the coronavirus and having their lives threatened by a virus, what does the 8th Amendment of the Constitution really mean in terms of cruel and unusual punishment? Those of you thinking about going to law school, some of you young brothers and sisters, people say, well, the law can't change. Listen, everything in a human society is negotiable, meaning this may be our opportunity to get free. And finally, listening to, you talk about HBCUs, I'm here in DC trying to hold it down. And, Sam and Jerry down there in the AUC, and Brother Walter is up there, at Virginia State. We're not doing synchronous learning or asynchronous learning. This isn't an online transition. This is an emergency crisis management measure to get us through May. Most of us are doing the best we can. Our students are hurting. Our students are all over. K-12, my hat is always off to school teachers K-12, our colleagues K-12, but I am in complete Dabali at this point because everybody with a child now understands what a teacher is trying to do every day. So shout out to them. But my real concern in this is that Naomi Klein calls it disaster capitalism. There are some people looking to pick up some cheap bargains at this point.
Man.
And I could very easily see, particularly our HBCU administrators who, as they're scheduling Zoom meetings every 2 hours to kind of continue to have relevance. As my friend Jules Harrell always says, Professor Harrell, a university is the faculty and the students. Everybody else is there in a support role. Well, when you remove the need for all these people and have it really down to the students and the teachers, then people got to create space for them to continue to have relevance. And so what I'm afraid of is that many universities in the world and in this country, particularly those who may be really hurt structurally as a result of the finances, we're going to have to give back some tuition, some room and board. I'm really afraid that, well, I won't say afraid. I'm really keen to the idea that there are going to be some people who then will raise a question, why do we need all these faculty? Maybe we can get Kanye to teach music production and we can just get rid of our music department and hire some adjuncts to maybe grade papers. Or why would we need a whole history department? We can just get Henry Louis Gates to do what he's been trying to do for the last 20 years, which is create some kind of bogus online TV show that you can connect your curriculum to, and we'll just get somebody to grade the papers. And I'm saying that before that happens, this is our opportunity to jailbreak knowledge. I'll end with this. Brother Mowley, when I think about our elders, man, the Jacob Carruthers and the Thompson and them, online wouldn't have been that. We had to sit up under those cats, man.
Right.
About Sam, brother, when I think about, Obadeli Williams and Asa Hilliard and them, we had to sit up under those cats, man. Marimba Ani and them. And so this is our opportunity to share with the entire world what happens in Black institutions. This is a glimpse of the magic. So when this thing goes back to brick and mortar, send your children to us. So I'm looking at this as a 2-month period where we basically have a series of commercials as we help our young people get one step closer to graduation. As K-12 engages in something they swear they don't do anymore, which is what? Social promotion, because ain't nobody got no real test that's going to get all these kids to the next grade. This is our opportunity to send a commercial out and say, this is the magic at Black institutions. This is the reading and writing at Black institutions. And you can't replicate that because guess what? Harvard, Stanford, University of Chicago, Morehouse, Howard, Fisk, Clark Atlanta, Virginia State, we all on equal footing right now. We got 2 months to show the world what we do.
I feel you, brother.
Yes, sir, brother.
Amen.
Brother Sam, is Sam in there?
Yes, sir. I'm right here.
Oh, come on into the conversation, brother. You over at Morehouse. And we didn't even get a chance to say that brother Kamati, Dr. Gray Kamati Carr is at Howard University, proud graduate of Tennessee State University, Ohio State Law School.
That's right. I'm a field Negro, brother. I'm a field HBCU Negro. They let me work at Howard, but they would never have let me go to school here, brother. Anyway, go ahead.
and the most that I did at Howard was party, and I was out of my black mind. So
I'm gonna leave what's on the other side of that conjunction to Biggie and the Last Poets. But go ahead. Party and anyway.
Oh yeah. So Sam, man, come on in. We've been trying to get Sam into the Black Man Lab for the longest.
I know, man. It's like always one thing after another. But I'm definitely glad to be here, even in this virtual space, man. Glad to see my big brother Kamati right there, and my Wooly and Jet brother. You know, a lot of times what Greg is saying is so right. A lot of times when I see Jarrett, you know, that's at Clark Atlanta in the political science graduate student symposium. And brother, I got to give big props to our brother Kurt Young over there, who holds it down. And weekly, man, I mean, he has folks cycling through and making sure that you have that community of knowledge that brother Antef spoke about around 2100 BC, that, you know, that you have to build that community. And that's the special part of what being at an HBCU is all about. You know, I get complaints, and I'm sure all of us do. We get complaints from students. You know, why do we have all this reading? What do we have? You know, what do we really need to know? I was like, you need to know everything that's in the core readings, the extra little bit of readings I put on Blackboard. All my stuff is really on Blackboard. So this has not been a difficult transition for us, but doing this virtual space is definitely revelatory. But man, I'm looking forward just to being a part of this Black Man Lab space and building with young brothers and anyone who's interested in Africana studies. And if you're interested in Africana studies and where you don't have one star professor just showboating and being all up in the classroom space, taking up all the oxygen, then come to HBCUs. And yeah, this is the last time, the only time that I would channel dang on your boy, Suge Knight. But I'm telling you, come on through to HBCUs if you really are about that liberatory educational process. Glad to see brother Fred Parham right there, my Black Star brother from back in the day. But glad to be in the space, brother Mawuli.
Appreciate you, Doc. Appreciate you. Brother Marty, we got another one. You're gonna bring on another Chi-Town?
Yes, sir. One of my guys is another Chi-Town specialer. Brother Matt, give the Black Man Lab audience an introduction as to who you are, and after that, will you give us a little bit about, you know, kind of from a spiritual standpoint, what you think is needed with our HBCUs as our kids are struggling through this pandemic standpoint?
Yeah. Brother Marty, good to see you, man. Brother Miley, thanks for inviting me back to the Black Man Lab. Always good to be back, even in virtual space. First, I want to give a shout out to Dr. Carr. Good to see you.
Always, brother.
Yes, sir. My big brother Willis from the neighborhood in Lake Meadows in Chicago. It's good to see you, brother. Always good to be here. So I'm Matthew Wesley Williams. I serve as the interim president at the Interdenominational Theological Center, where we are a Christian Afrocentric ecumenical seminary that trains leadership for about as wide a swath of the Black church as you're going to see in one institution, and does that from the standpoint of a liberatory, culturally rooted perspective that really draws on our own ancestral wells to bring forward the best of our heritages, our cultures, our God knowledges, to be able to prepare our people to be prophetic problem solvers, right? And so that's the thrust of our educational aim. We're in a unique space because we're a freestanding graduate institution, right? So we have grown folk who have already have come out of undergrad. Many of them are already in their careers and come to seminary to prepare for spiritual or faith-rooted leadership in our communities. And we're located right in the heart of the AUC, next door to Clark Atlanta, Morehouse, Spelman. and next door to Morris Brown. So this is an extraordinary moment. And Brother Mali, I appreciate your question, because while it is a crisis, in many ways, it's a grand opportunity. But it's only an opportunity if we take stock of what it is, right? And what I mean by that is that we can't afford to enter this moment trying to place old wine into new wineskins, right? Trying to do brick and mortar education in a virtual space. Trying to incarcerate the jailbroken models, right?
Right, brother.
And so you know, Bro Willis, you were right to talk about how in the past, some of our inability to access online education and do that has been due to a lack of resources, in some cases a lack of training, but in some cases it's been a lack of imagination, brother. In which we have not, we're still trying to operate payphone systems in a smartphone world, right? And so I think this, in ITC's case, what it's given us is actually a kick in the pants to do something that we've been on the course of doing for some time. So when I came around the ITC, came back to ITC, was a student there 20 years ago, but came back as an interim president in July of 2019. We placed as one of our goals to go fully 100% hybrid by fall 2020. Right, so we were on our way to having a hybrid educational model that makes our education more accessible to folks who are not going to move to Atlanta, move their families and move to Atlanta to take advantage of this education. Fact is, if we could reimagine how we do education, how we think about where education is situated, then we could actually use our campus as a staging ground where people are actually studying in multiple spaces of leadership and learning laboratories around the city and around the country, where we're facilitating reflection on critical knowledge is being developed in practice, in places where people are actually doing leadership and then reflecting on what it is they're learning in leadership around the critical areas that are key to Black sovereignty, Black freedom, Black self-determination. For example, Fannie Lou Hamer said, if you can feed yourself, can't nobody push you around. So what does it look like for us to develop our own food systems in a moment, right, where we can't rely on grocery stores to deliver healthy produce, right? Woo! So, and from the side of the Black church, which is often one of the largest landowners in any community, and collectively, the largest landowner in Black America, how do faith leaders need to be trained differently, educated differently to be able to understand how to steward those resources on behalf of their people, right? Jesus said, if you love me, feed my sheep, build alternative food systems, right? That feed folks so that can't nobody push them around. So what this moment gives us is an opportunity to reimagine what education is. We say education is the process by which a community builds its capacity to solve its problems and co-create its future, right? That's the inverse of Carter G. Woodson's idea of miseducation, where he said, if you go through a educational process and all you've learned is to master a body of knowledge, where you can be the resident egghead in a space, but you don't know how to solve the problems for which you got into education in the first place, you've been miseducated at best, right? That's right. But education is the process by which you build the capacity by which a community, not an individual, a community builds its capacity to solve its problems and co-create its future. We have an opportunity now where, like Dr. Carr said, the falsehoods and illusions of what we deem to be education, what we deem to be possible in education, have fallen away, right? And I don't think it's just going to be 2 months, Doc. I think it's gonna be more. I think we're headed into a season, and before we try to get back to normal, we got to think about whether normal was worth keeping.
Let me press everybody really quickly. Brother Marty, I know you are supposed to be keeping us on time, brother. I think we're going to end up having to run over a little bit. There's no way that we get this kind of intellectual power from around the Black world, the African world, and we just have to have a dead stop at 7:45. So we're going to have to tweak that, if that's all right, Marty. We got to go a little longer, man.
That works. I mean, how often do we have these opportunities, man?
Bruh, come on now. So I want to, Willis, we were on a call with Indugu, a group that Maurice Thompson and other brothers created. And Willis used the language, Dr. Willis Walter used the language around touches. And I talk about touches when we talk about the need, how do we change and transform and develop in the work that we do primarily is with Black men. So I'm not being chauvinistic. I'm just putting it in that context. We talk about, Kobe, when he scored 81, how many touches did he need? When did he need to get the ball? Under what circumstances? You got to get it to him early, get it to him often. Obviously, when we talk about touches in the development of young Black men, that's what we're saying, is that we have to have the positive quality touches in their lives in order for them to develop and become the problem solvers that Matt, you've been talking about. I'd like for you brothers for a moment, if you wouldn't mind, each trying to do about 2.5 minutes of the significance and the ways that our students receive those quality touches at HBCUs and why that is so critical in this moment of our history. Like right now, because we know what it was, or some of us know what it was with the building of a Tuskegee or a Howard or a Hampton, what that was when brothers and sisters were walking miles, to go study in a boxcar to get their education. What about right now in this moment, the significance of quality touches at HBCUs, and what does that need to look and feel like? And I'm asking y'all to do it in 2 to 3 minutes, because y'all can.
Can I kick it off?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I think it looks different now than it did a month ago. For sure. And the two things that pop up for me, two words that popped up as you were asking that question. One is, what does community look like? And two is, in the context of community, how are we going to reckon with grief? Within the next month, 2 months, if the epidemiological projections hold, we're going to be receiving back into our schools students who've lost loved ones. Some students whose lives may have been lost themselves. And in the touches that we have with folks, I think this is another opportunity for us to pull back or draw back from our understanding, our cosmologies about how the universe is set up, and our relationship to ancestors and to the spirit world, to help us hold, honor, and process the grief that's going to be, I think, a key element of our community life probably for the next few years. Right. I got my Florida A&M windbreaker on. Our motto at Florida A&M when I was a student there, it still is, excellence with caring, right? And so, again, like what's going to be a big piece of the work at HBCUs has always been about how are you and who are you, right? And again, I think I want to just kind of put a point in this, that whether we're in an online space, or if we slowly get back to getting back together, before we get back to normal, which we probably shouldn't get back to in the first place, we're going to have to tend to how are you? And how are your people?
Sure.
Right. That's going to be a significant piece of the touches and probably the rituals that we'll have to develop on our campus to help folk move through and make meaning of what they've been through. This is a once in a generation lifetime shift, and we can't afford to just jump back into business as usual.
I think that speaks to the uniqueness of HBCUs, as it starts with, right? Is that the touches at HBCUs? I went to Howard, and I know, that touch of not just from the social piece of it, the types of networks that you gain from them, from the folks that you meet from different parts of the country, other like-minded Black folks, but then also those connections that you may have with staff and other employees of those universities is real significant.
That's right.
With that, Brother Bass, can we pull you in on that same question?
Absolutely. When you talk about touches and community, and I'm loving the way this conversation is going, but one thing, an artifact of this whole thing that most people aren't realizing is who in the environments that we're teaching in now are really being impacted. Case in point, and I'm trying to keep this down to about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. There's been something that's really been amazing to me in this short period of time is a lot of my students are first generation college students. And many of them left communities behind, left family members behind, but something interesting is going on in my classes, right? So now these students who are learning back at home, I'm looking around in the background and I'm seeing the mama looking and I'm seeing the daddy looking and I'm seeing all of these people who they left behind getting an education that they didn't get an opportunity to get. I'm looking around in the background from my brothers in New York and my sisters, even those in California. And I'm seeing that they're sitting with people around them, their little brothers and their little sisters, who are also getting motivated by this new HBCU, this new college experience. So when I think about touches, my God, this is going to go so far beyond these 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. We're going to impact a whole generation. We're going to educate mamas and daddies who were not, quote unquote, a part of that talented 10th concept, who are now being afforded an education that is amazing to them.
That's beautiful.
Man, I
never even thought of that.
Nope. But that's your experience. That's your experience. Willis, jump in.
I love it, Brother Bass. I'm going to challenge my faculty from that standpoint too, to tell me who else is in the room, who else is listening in on the calls on the Zoom lenses that they can capture. Because I think it's also important when we start talking about community that we do a better job of connecting with our surrounding communities, our rural communities that have many of us in them, our inner cities that have many of us in them. We have not, as institutions, really delivered from the kind of partnership that our communities need us to be. When you talk about, there are food deserts in and around many of our schools, and we've not fed anybody, both socially, emotionally, or physically. When we start talking about the emotional toll that Brother Matthews was talking, Brother Williams was talking about, there's an emotional toll that's going on right now on all of our people. And I'm not for sure we're in tune with it as we should be or could be because they're not face to face. Sometimes our folks could feel the energy or the lack thereof in the classroom. We don't have that opportunity through a Zoom lens, right? Or at least we've not been taught that perspective. But I also hope that this will get us back to the one fundamental that we seemingly have forgotten over the years, the one career choice that many of our young people have shied away from, which is education. Because we can't control the mechanism if we're not in the mechanism, right? we can't control education and what our kids, our young people, our K through 12 folks are hearing and are listening to if we don't do a better job of getting more people that look like us in education. And so when you start talking about those touches, they come often and early. Mm-hmm. And we have to do more in the K through 12 space in order to make sure that students are selecting us as institutions, as opposed to their parents making them come to our institutions. And I think it starts there, right? That if we get more students to make the choice that I want to be at a historically Black institution, just think if the Zions and the JR, the kids that made Duke popular for the 1 year that they were there, right? Michigan still benefiting from the Fab Five, right? If we got some of our students to think like that, the only way it happens is if we reach them earlier in the process than what we're doing right now. And so community building, making sure that emotionally we're connecting with our young people on different levels, I think all of that is part of the new touch that we have to start looking at if we're going to be viable in the very near future.
Want to jump to Jared. Give us 2-3 minutes, Jared, of I've been in your classroom, brother. I just want you to talk about the importance of those touches and how you are facilitating those, and even in the context of how do we develop and prepare young brothers and sisters for to build organizations, institutions.
Molly, as you know, one of the things that we do, and I think we need to take advantage of, and we're doing it right now, is social Pan-Africanism. Social Pan-Africanism is, of course, using the technology that we have at our fingertips in order to take all of the archived information that we have and convert that information and give it over to our students. In my classroom, and I know that all these educators know that we try to be engaging, not to lecture all the time, of course, but how can I make my classroom more engaging? But I know I do that because I bring people like you in. I also bring in multimedia because I was at the feet of Dr. John Henrik Clarke. Mm-hmm. Dr. Carr was just speaking about some of that. So I listen to Dr. Clarke and many of our greats, like I'm listening to Sam Cooke, like it's an album.
Yes, sir.
So I literally listen to the cadence of how they present information. Yes, but the thing is, those touches, I have to convert that and give it to the next generation. And so a lot of us have said things extremely well. And so while they've said it so well, I want to provide a vehicle for my students and others to be able to hear that same type of thing. Right now, we're in a social Pan-African setting. We are sharing information to, we don't know the number of folks that will be affected by this. We're in the fourth industrial revolution. And this industrial revolution, this AI, we're gonna have to get a hold on because they are creating and facilitating technology countries that we don't have power over. Now we got Black Twitter, but we don't own Twitter.
That's right.
You know, Facebook is owned and operated by its own CEO, who is the oligarch dictator of what needs to go on and go off on Facebook. So though at the time we need to utilize these resources, we need to also be looking at self-determination on inventing and creating the next best thing. And some of that is being charged to working, giving those touches to the next generation to facilitate them with a certain type of mind that looks to own, that looks to recreate, that doesn't look to consume, it looks to invent as opposed to anything else. And so in my classroom, I'm trying to speak to all of the different type of learners. I'm speaking to Black people are right brain first, then left brain. Most of the world is. So left brainers have taken over the world, and now right brainers are trying to take it back. And so we speak from the whole mind first before we come into the break it down into the particulars. And so, you know, I have an archive of videos that I'm giving to my students. You got to listen to this part. I have movies. If you want to understand this part, you need to look at this movie. Well, I'm gonna tell you to look at Dune just to understand Egyptian culture. Even though you see all white people, they ain't talking about white people. They talking about you. You know, we're gonna watch Quilombo. We're gonna watch these things and provide them with all of this information. But this is the time, I think, just like when we were on James P. Brawley back in the day, having the highest intellectual conversations you can on the promenade in the AU, and every Black conscious, because that was the rise of Black conscious movement, was coming through Atlanta. You know, we have to use social Pan-Africanism, this technology, in order to help our students who have this personal technology, one of the greatest inventions the world has ever seen, a phone with the convergence of every technology known to man. This is held right here in this little object, this smartphone. So we got to use all of the tools right now, but we got to reinvent some things for our future.
Man, you sure you're not a preacher, man? Because you know,
I'm not. Oh, last thing, Holy.
Amen moments.
Dr. Carr, you know, on Sundays, you know, I have my Pan-African group on Sundays. We use his libation.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's our start every Sunday, because I just feel that's the most powerful libation. Don't reinvent. I'm not gonna reinvent it. I'm just gonna put you on, Dr. Carr. You know, and so we want to just share that we already have people who've done the work and they're doing it, and I want to pass that on to my students, and so that we can educate the next generation.
All right, so yeah, we got to close out like this. We got a few minutes left. I want to go to Sam, and then Brother Kamati, we want you to close out, and I'm gonna throw something at you all in terms of these touches. Jared raised something. Matt raised something. Willis raised. Bash raised. Could this be another Wahimi Mesu, another rebirth, right? Another opportunity, a window. You know, in European thought, they call it a renaissance. But could we flip this and say this is our path, this is our door to rebirth a sense of African thinking, deep thought, as Dr. Carruthers would frame it, and doing it in a way that educate. I'm, you know, and Kamati, you know me, man. I'm thinking through organizing lenses. Like, it sounds like there should almost be a campaign at HBCUs, and just if you are a Black socially conscious professor, that you make it your point. You know, the campaign is educate community. You know, from now until the students get out, you tell your students,
brother. Is that the call? Is this the?
I like that. If that's the call,
brother.
Invite tell your students, everybody in your house, have them sit with you.
That's what I'm talking about.
And we push that across the country. If you can't call yourself a socially conscious professor or teacher at the high school, college, we can go all the way down. Tell them to come in the room, and then let's give them our very best.
Yes.
And let's do a community education program through what was supposed to be something that was devastate us. Let's build community with it. And I don't know, I'm going off, y'all. Sorry.
No, you are the king. You are the king of coming up with an idea on a drop of a dime. This is what this dude has done all of our lives.
Generous,
So I think that
That's my point guard there. That's that Beasley B point guard.
yes, sir.
Passing it out.
here we go with the Beasley stuff again. Here we go.
Hey, Sam, jump in, brother. Jump
Yes,
in.
sir. Yes, sir. I'm first of all, I'm just giving thanks. I'm really feeling the energy and the spirit of what's being called for right now, because this is a pregnant moment. In terms of getting back to that question of those touches, for me, it's quality when we're able to show students, of course, how this not just material, but this idea, this process of education, this process of Sekepra, of really breaking down what that means for African people. You know, that notion of transformation, of actually moving a student, a person from point A to point B. To me, that when that happens, that Sekepra process is really happening, it's when I'm able to work with community groups, and in particular, the organization that I'm mainly working with is a group called Friends of the Congo, and
right.
we've designed this curriculum called the Congo curriculum, and it's intended to do two things really. First, it's to take the learning from the classroom and connect it with a dedicated Pan-Africanist organization that's actually doing work in the community. So, we will have events, and students are part of those events. Students who've already gone through, they actually are participating and engaging in the learning process and sharing information, opening up that space. I forgot exactly who said it. I think it's Brother Jarrett, where we're not just lecturing. I don't have to be the person who's imparting the information. I just need to be the facilitator. So I think that's critical. And then I think that's in some ways, that's a 1A and a 1B. Facilitate the learning. Don't try to drive it. Don't try to drive it, but facilitate that learning. The second thing is connecting students. And this is a part of what we do with that Congo curriculum, to connect students with their brothers and sisters in different parts of the African world. And this is one of the things, again, it's challenging in a way to make sure that it happens in a productive way. But with that Congo curriculum, each one of our young men at Morehouse, they receive a partner in the Congo, either in Goma, and this year we're working on Goma and Kinshasa, and they build a relationship. They're supposed to maintain this relationship. We have kind of like a guided conversation of what they're supposed to be talking about. But what I see is that when it really takes place and when the magic really happens, man, you have these brothers just having long conversations that you had on Brawley and the Promenade. These brothers are having those conversations between Atlanta and Goma, DRC, Democratic Republic of the Congo, and in Kinshasa, the capital of Congo. So I'm not going to be too long, but I just want to say that is almost impossible if we are not connected to Pan-Africanist organizations that are doing that work. And Brother Mawuli, we're going to work it out. We're going to try to get you in the space and where our students can actually work with Black Man Lab, where they can work with the work that you're doing in social justice. But if the touches are quality, when the professor almost becomes invisible, and where you basically are putting the student in that driving space, and you literally become almost like a conduit, and not even I don't say not an entity. You're an entity. I mean, we're an entity, but at the same time, where we become almost neutral, and students can interact with community and folks from different parts of the world. That's the African world, of course. So that's, to me, I don't want to take too long with it, but to me, that's when it's special, man. And I got to give props to my brother Greg Carr. Man, he invited me and David Rice, who's in the psychology department at Morehouse, and we've been trying to get our students on the ground in Egypt and in Nubia, and we were able to make that trip, man. And I see a part of what is special about what that brother is doing, what Mario Beatty is doing, what my sister Felicia Watkins is doing. They are doing something very special up at Howard. So tell Matt Gates to back the hell up before we have to damn show up and on your front door with some damn brothers willing to put in some work. Shut your behind up, Matt Gates, or whoever the hell that fool is talking about Howard's funding. Let me be quiet. Greg, do your thing, man.
No.
Hey, great. I'm the point guard. So I'm about to give you this pass.
Don't pass.
Sam, think about this, man. Think about this. This is I'm totally tripping right now. What Sam just described in terms of the professor almost being invisible, isn't that what Dr. Thompson was telling us? Doc was telling us, right? Remember that was one of his visions, was to have the students come and present and teach the information, and the wise ones, the elders, they're receiving it and saying, yes, you're correct. And that whole process that's who Andy Thompson was, man, and his spirit still is. And I could not let that pass because of our connection with Doc, and us not, make that connection. Because I'm listening to Sam, I'm like, Sam, were you in that? Were you in that meeting with us, with Andy Thompson when he was?
No, I wasn't, but I was sitting at the feet of Dr. Clark whenever he was in Philly or Columbia, South Carolina, in LA. I was always there trying to do what I could do just to listen. But Brother Anderson Thompson, I didn't get a chance to meet him, but man, I feel like I know him through Brother Kamathi and you, Brother Mawuli, in many ways. But to me, that's critical. Let me be quiet.
No.
I do, man.
I had to put Kamathi, I'm gonna turn it over and I'm gonna let it go. I hear community education campaign. I hear an opportunity for Pan-African connections, right? Where we're doing Zooms around the world and connecting up, that we would find ways to reach out to brothers all over to plug into whatever space, whether it's Black Man Lab, whatever, whatever it is. But then Matt dropped the bomb and jumped off. He dropped that ritual. What rituals will we have to return to engage in to heal community? And I don't know. Oh, Matt is still there. I don't know that that we have to wait for folks to physically come back to the space. But what rituals can we begin to engage in that keep, because some of the rituals the rituals we engaged in during our enslavement, during the Ma'afa, which is still going on, it kept us from losing our minds, right? And so when we're in this kind of situation, why wouldn't we develop rituals even via Zoom that would allow us to sustain ourselves? Kamathi is yours, brother. We ran way over. Maurice Thompson is about to shoot me, man. He said, rein it in. So Kamathi, close us out, man. It's just a lot going right now, bro.
I can't look, brother. I wish you take it back from me in a minute. I'm gonna be quick. The touches are what we're hearing. People gonna watch this, they're gonna think about it. Brother Chris, when you said all of us, get everybody in the room, and Brother Walter, you just identified the task of every HBCU administrator. Ask that faculty, who else is in the room when y'all out here doing this work? President Williams, man, you're right. If this is the staging ground and we're jailbreaking and we're connecting to everybody else, then you really are saying that our institutions can be reborn in many ways. As you say, Brother Marley, this question of Waheme Mesu, this question of the repetition of the birth. And Brother Jared, man, social Pan-Africanism, the action phase of that's a beautiful thing. When you think about the fact that we must connect and we have to use those texts, and you're using the visual, listen, you're using my libation, Sante Sana for that, brother, but I promise you, that is just something that was a connection of me learning from other people. And I think now the next generation has to learn how to do it so that, it's that living connection. And Baba Marley, my dear brother, man, when we heard my big brother Sam, Dr. Livingston, talk about this Congo curriculum, the heart-to-heart connection. And yeah, I wish y'all could have all been in Aswan when Brother Sam laid out a vision to build a research team around the scholarship he's doing around governance and leadership in Kemet. And in that moment, young people can step up. So I'll end with this. When you said with him and Mesu, you know, and when we all sequestered in place in libraries, man, because we at home. So therefore, I just went and started snatching stuff off the book. Jacob Carruthers, get this book right here, Meta Nature. This brother right here, the repetition of the birth requires knowing what came before you. That's and right. So you can't repeat a birth if you don't know the birth. And that's where I think the function of study can never be displaced. Anderson Thompson, remember we got these brother Mowley at his ritual. There he is right there. We took his ashes to the Nile Valley. Sam was there. Sam helped. We were, brother, I'm getting, man, when we stood, when Sam and I and Mario and Belithi and David stood in the tomb of Taotep and put a little Anderson Thompson in that tomb, brother. When we did that, we're reconnecting. Here's the issue of the compass. There's Dr. Thompson's picture on the front where his last article is. Anderson Thompson, like everybody on this call, please understand, folks who are watching this and who are going to watch it later on YouTube, to become a teacher, you must study. And so the teacher can never be displaced in that sense. When Anderson Thompson was in a room, he knew how everybody in that room connected to everybody else. And then once he introduced that, he stepped back. What we just saw you do, Brother Marley, Brother Marty, what you facilitated, when we heard Brother Marley do today, that point guard role, that's what Anderson Thompson did. Because somebody in the room has to know how everybody connects and then get out of the way. That's the function of studying. And that's where I'll end on this. These are two books I think are very important. We all know this brother, Aikwe Arma, who is posted up in Senegal, The Eloquence of the Scribes. Please, young people, get this book because he's going to show you how to make those connections, and he's going to show you the function of the scribe, the thinker, the one who studies. And then this is one of his newest books, Wadin Simsu, The Way of the Followers. That's where ritual comes in. You've got to now create rituals of connection. When we get off this call and it falls silent, that's when you go and do what Jacob Carruthers says in Meta Nature you must do, which is what? You got to speak to your ancestors. And there's no way to do that except you must do it. And that's why when President Williams laid that out, brother, the ITC, brother, you doing something different. And I wish I could be down there right now, because in the silence, whether you're studying Meta Nature, whether you're reading and rereading and thinking, because what I'm seeing now is the technology is disrupting our capacity to be still with ourselves, to literally read a text and think through a text. I just got off the call with my law students. I had a Zoom class with them. They're having a difficult time. Brother Mowley, can you imagine studying contracts law and then having a conversation on Zoom and then being binging on Netflix and binging on YouTube and then trying to go back and understand the rule against perpetuities? We got to be careful, because the deception of this fast moving image technology will have us in a position where we can't be still with ourselves. The function of study is a very solitary practice. And the one who knows, as it said in Taotep, no harm shall come when they are near. That's the role of the elder. That's the role of the scholar. We got to be in the place so that we can help our people understand that somebody's got to know what happens beyond now, because they know what happened yesterday. And once that's been introduced, they get out of the way so that the next generation can study that and make connections. But it never actualizes without knowing that study. And that's the thing I'm really afraid of gets lost. That's what let young people get into a beef today with the idea that somehow Kanye West is better than Quincy Jones. That's a lack of study, brother. That's not a character question. That's not a question of good people and bad people. That's people who don't know yesterday. There's no Wahemi Mesu. That's our role, brother. And that's what you've exercised tonight. I'm just grateful we got bit together. I got one question. When you gonna do this again, brother?
Look.
We're already texting about it. Okay. We're already texting about it to figure this out.
Okay.
And right here, man, I got notes, brothers. I got notes. I'm up in here, you know, I'm scribing. I'm scribing. So
look, brother, me too. Look, gifts. No, I'm just playing. Donation. No, I'm just playing.
Let's go. So, brothers, we close out. And if we were together, and if we were physically together, because we are spiritually connected in this moment, if we were physically together, we would lock arms. And I'm hoping Mark can bring us all up on the screen. We would lock arms, and there was a organizer a grassroots organizer, Queen Njiri Algani from Nkobra, who was just a beautiful revolutionary spirit who at every meeting that she closed would have everyone connect hands. And when everyone connected hands, we're gonna lock in like this. She would give us the instruction that we are links in this chain and it won't break here. And it was clear to me, and it's clear to me now what she meant. We are links in a chain, not only with those who we are physically in the room with, we are linked to our ancestors, our great grandmamas, and on and on and on. And it won't break here, it won't break with this generation. So if we could say it together, I am a link in this chain.
I am a link in this chain.
And it won't break here.
And it won't break here.
A link in this chain.
I am a link in this chain.
And it won't break here.
And it won't break here.
We are links in this chain.
We are links in this chain.
And we won't break here.
And we won't break here. Ashe.
Ashe.
Thank you, brothers. Look forward to seeing
you all so much
at the next Black Man Lab next Monday. But we got some work to do in between time. Thank you, brothers.
Thank you, brothers. Appreciate you all so much. Thank you.